Jonathan, I think we're going to bring the next panelists up, starting with our moderator, Russell C. Once again, he's back. You'll probably get sick of him in the next couple of hours. Sorry, Russell.
I'll try to keep it fun.
Yeah, how's it going? Russell C is from the Office of Information and Technology, if you didn't catch it earlier. And we're going to be talking about MyColorado ID and reimagining identity with a couple of your colleagues, Russell. I'll let you introduce them, but also Clayton H from the Department of Revenue. So this will be really an interesting talk. Good for our hackers and good for our audience to see this, state and government kind of behind the scenes look and understand how you guys are thinking about this technology and what the thought process goes into, when you're making decisions around adoption and especially a sensitive area like identity. So take it away, panel, and I really look forward to hearing this.
Great. Well, thank you very much. So as you already heard, I'm Russell Castagnero, and I am super psyched to be talking to you now for the second time today. Joining me is Clayton Hollingshead from the Department of Revenue. He's the product owner for digital DMV, among many other things that he does for the Department of Revenue. And Cassie Simpson, who's our fantabulous business analyst at OIT, and she helps us keep everything in line. Olga Klinger, who's our whole program's project manager, she couldn't make it today, so that was kind of a bummer. But these things happen, right? So thank you for letting us talk to you and show you some stuff about MyColorado and Colorado Digital ID. So let's just sort of set the stage. We launched MyColorado in October of 2019. It was really super simple. Had some mobile DMV services. We had access to more of the state mobile-friendly services, a search utility, and then the Colorado Digital ID. And Governor Polis on October 29th or 30th actually made Colorado Digital ID legally acceptable. So he also at that time stipulated that the following year on November 30th, that we would have a solution for law enforcement. So there's, the last thing you want to do is sort of force law enforcement into this new technology that they hadn't been a part of everything. So we sort of had a year to work with them on a solution that would work. And that was our first big call of action. Simple visual inspection of the digital ID was all we were doing at first. We used some cool security features too, but in the end, it worked just like a polycarbonate ID in that you presented your phone, they could see you had a few features. And in fact, let's just go to the next slide and hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Let's see.
So many people now live on their phones and basically carry their wallet on their phone. With the Colorado Digital ID, staff can make the text bigger, and it's easier to read and for us to be accurate when we input customer information.
First, I don't want to accept digital IDs because they gave us one less reason to turn people away. We've all been in that spot. We forgot an ID at home. They'll blame you, and now a bartender has one more way to make sure someone is the correct age.
So that was really, really great to have that there. But really, the starting part, our job was to really normalize and socialize the concept of digital ID. And it took a lot of doing, and it was a lot of effort to convince people that they could accept this. I mean, you talk to a liquor store, or you talk to a notary public, or you talk to a dispensary, cannabis dispensary, and they don't want to do anything that's going to put their licenses at risk, right? Their business license. So we had a pretty heavy duty call. So we start.
So many people now live on their phones and basically
You'll need
carry
to
their
see that
wallet on
again.
their phone. With the Colorado.
There we go. Okay, let's try the next one. So what that meant was we had launched this new service and we lived in this pre-COVID world, and the future looked really cool. Like, what we all wanted was like Burning Man for everyone all over the place. Maybe not everybody wanted that, but at least I did. And so we had these really great thoughts about what the future would look like. And then about a year ago, suddenly it was different, right? We're a lot more socially distant. Government offices are closed, for the most part. We're all working from home, or not all of us, but a lot of us are. It's safe to say that the world has changed in a way that makes the changes that happened after September 11th in 2001 look almost minor. Like, these are pervasive changes that lasted more than a month, and it did more than just scar us psychically. It's changed the way everyone lives every single moment of their life. So I'm going to hand this over to Cassie to tell you a little bit more about what we were able to do.
Thanks, Russell. Hi, everyone. So we have had the amazing opportunity to partner with various departments across the state of Colorado, as well as a number of local law enforcement agencies. So just to give you an idea of all of the different services that MyColorado offers, one of our largest implementations, both existing and underway, includes integration with law enforcement. So back in, I think it was November 30th, we went live with close to 500 troopers across the state of Colorado who are now using the MyColorado portal method out in the field. This method allows for a contactless interaction between the officer and the driver, which in this day and age is becoming increasingly important. So let's say you're driving a little too fast down the road, you get pulled over. An officer would approach you with their unique QR code. They might present it to you on their mobile device. They could present this QR code to you on a business card. But all you have to do as a driver, as a MyColorado app user, rather than fumbling and looking for your license, scrambling for your registration, scrambling for your insurance, all you have to do is open your MyColorado app and scan that QR code presented by the trooper. And then the app will prompt you to share your information. So it'll prompt you to share your license data, as well as your registration and your insurance all in one. And as soon as you click that share button, all of that information is transmitted to the officer's mobile digital computer, or maybe even mobile device, but it's transmitted to their portal account, MyColorado portal account, immediately. So as soon as you share it, they can go back to their patrol vehicle and log into their portal, and all of the driver's information appears in a queue. That information is available for 24 hours and then drops off after that. Next slide, Russell. So one of our main goals for introducing this with law enforcement was to minimize the time that our officers are out on the side of the road, for obvious reasons. So that's why we built this to work in 3 easy steps. You log into your MyColorado app, you open the scan option to scan that QR code, and then you just share your information with the portal. Next. All right, so we worked our tails off to get this implementation up and running with Colorado State Patrol by November 30th, which was the deadline that Governor Polis gave us in the executive order. So with the help of one of our early adopters on the law enforcement side, Broomfield Police Department, we created this quick video just to give you an idea of what the process actually looks like in the field. So let's take a look.
Officer Elder, Broomfield Police Department. The reason I pulled you over is you're going too fast. Do you have your driver's license, registration, and insurance with you?
Yeah, do you accept the digital ID?
Yes.
Okay.
If only that music played every time an officer pulled us over on the side of the road, it would make things a lot more fun. No, but that just shows you how quick this process really is. So in 3 easy steps, the information has all of the law enforcement has all of the required information they need to complete the enforcement process.
Thanks, Cassie. In case you guys didn't realize, Cassie was doing that. Now, Clayton had a lot to do with getting all this stuff done. Clayton, did you want to add anything about after seeing I don't know if you'd seen that cut of the video yet. Oh, I think you're muted.
You are correct. I had not seen that. That was very nice. That was cool. I don't know if I have much to add to that. I will go back to you.
No worries, no pressure. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out is that I know many people that are on right now don't have access to MyColorado because you don't have a driver's license or state ID issued in Colorado. So I apologize, but those of you that do and have MyColorado installed, you'll see on our slides up in the right-hand corner, we have this QR code. You can actually scan that and share just some little information with us. And at the end, we can actually show you what that looks like from a police officer standpoint or a merchant standpoint. If you're interested in doing it, we don't ask for anything that's really urgent. I think the biggest thing we ask for is whether you're over 18 or not. So if you want to give it a try, go ahead. I just want to talk a little bit about the system that we implemented. It's using modern technology, but it's not using blockchain, right? We don't use blockchain inherently within most of the parts because these systems, like the DMV system called drives, it wasn't on blockchain. We have to work with what we've got. The way that the whole system was implemented is that the initial request is essentially in the form of either a custom mobile link or a QR code that can be scanned that then is opened up automatically by the MyColorado app, which displays a confirmation dialog. So in other words, what are the attributes that this organization that wants to access your information, what are they asking you for? There's 2 different types. There's required fields, and then there are optional fields. So in the example you see here, you've got like email and cell number might be optional fields. On the one that QR code that's up there, I think age and the picture of you is an optional field. So those are all processed by the mobile app. Then that request gets sent down to the MyColorado Web Services servers. We pull the information in real time from the DMV service, so we have the most current information available. And then in the case of the police, of law enforcement, we send the results directly to their web client. For other types of users, and there are multiple, we have a webhook. So we call a REST API and send the JSON payload that contains all the information that you have that's been requested and been approved. We also optionally, depending on what the organization wants, we can store a record that there was a share made and the attributes that were shared, although not the actual information that was shared across that. So we did this and we implemented it first for the for the police and for the state patrol, because we knew that if we implemented for them, first we had to, Governor Polis says to do something, we've got to do it. So we did that, and we leveraged that same technology for all the other use cases that you're going to see through here. And those of you that are working on the MyColorado bounties, that we've tried to make this easy for all the different folks that are attending ETHDenver by letting you just pick it up at the point of the REST API. So you don't have to have everything working with MyColorado. All you need to do is that's our contract with you. If you can process the API, then we believe that you can process everything that we're going to send you. Okay, Cassie.
All right, so another one of our use cases is storing electronic consent. So we have been working with CDHS, the Department of Human Services, and other health organizations who are interested in a solution that allowed counties, nonprofit groups, and other health organizations to store digital consent. So as a patient who is an authorized MyColorado user, you would be able to share, let's say, your phone number or your email address with a provider or with a caseworker, who would then, similar to law enforcement, would share a QR code or a unique link back to that patient. So that patient would would either scan the QR code or follow that link, which would then pull up that same shared dialogue within the MyColorado app. So the app in this case might ask you, do you agree to share your name, your email address, and do you also want to allow access to your information in chats or other healthcare systems with this specific caseworker or medical provider? And then similar to law enforcement, once that patient consents to sharing that information and agrees in that workflow, then the caseworker is able to view all of that information within their portal account, similar to how our state patrol and police departments would on the side of the road. Okay, so once we were able to bring in the digital ID, so bringing in your driver license or your permit, we took that kind of same design and we said, why don't we bring on some other types of licensing or permits across the state? So one of the departments that gives out a lot of licenses and permits is the Department of Natural Resources. So we have been working closely with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, who give out fishing license, hunting licenses, boating licenses, and the list goes on. We are very close to rolling out our digital fishing license, and then the rest will follow. So DNR is really, really excited to implement this in the field. They are working with their security officers out in the field to train them on how to accept the digital permit. And then another use case similar to this is the Department of Revenue, their special businesses group, is interested in bringing on certain licenses, for example, with the Liquor Enforcement Department, the Marijuana Enforcement Division, what else? There's gaming, racing, and lottery as well. Okay, so ETitle Transfer is one of our biggest projects that we're working on today. So the Department of Revenue in Colorado, one of their biggest goals this year is to bring on all of their services, to bring them online. So we are starting with an ETitle Transfer, and today, between a seller and a buyer to transfer a vehicle title, there's a lot of back and forth between the two, and there's you have to go into the DMV, which everybody tries to avoid, I know, and a lot of paper processes involved. So we thought this would be a good one to start with. And there are a few eligibility requirements that we've identified for our first initial rollout, which is the seller and buyer must be authorized MyColorado users. There can only be a single owner on the vehicle, and it has to be fully owned. So there can't be any liens. And this is just to to make sure that we can, get something up and running, and we can go ahead and bring this service online and offer it to people who want to utilize it digitally. So what this looks like is we have a My DMV services page within the My Colorado app. And from there, you'll navigate to a requirements or information page that tells you whether or not you're eligible to utilize this ETitle transfer functionality. So the seller would input all of their vehicle information, their sale information, so what the sales price was, what the mileage of the car was, what the odometer read at the time of sale. And then also we would be working with Drives over at DMV, which stores all of the vehicle information, registration information to verify that the vehicle that the seller is claiming to sell is in fact owned by that seller. So as soon as they kick off that ETitle transfer, a unique QR code will be generated. So they can download that QR code image, share it with the buyer, or if they're together, the buyer can scan it straight from the phone, which will then generate a bill of sale digitally. And the buyer continues that workflow by scanning that unique QR code, verifying that all of the information the seller input was correct. And then that'll kick off a payment workflow for the title transfer process itself. So this is going to be a huge win as soon as we get this implemented, hopefully by the end of June this year.
Thanks, Cassie. And one of the things that, did you have something, Clayton? No. So one of the things you'll see here is what we are doing is working on things that allow you to not have to show up to get something done. Title transfer was sort of the biggest one the DMV identified, is that you have to do that in person, and we wanted something they could do that wasn't in person. So that is a really important aspect of the different things that we're actually trying to get done here. Let's move on now to some of the bounties that we have out there. And as I mentioned before, for the My Colorado bounties, we're assuming that you take over from the part that we send the JSON to your webhook, to your REST API. So that makes it easy for you to do implementation. One of them is proof of licensing and credentialing. So with the Department of Natural Resources, with Parks and Wildlife, we are getting information directly from their database. What we've got this is, let's put together a system that allows us to independently confirm the actual credential, leveraging blockchain technology, right? And we think that this will make it a lot simpler in the future to show agencies, because they have a legal responsibility to make sure this is working, to be able to independently confirm the different credentials that are issued. Another one that's on there is the non-social check-in. And we call it non-social not because we're not friendly, but because we don't think that to check in, whether you're at a government office or you're at a business, we don't think that should have to go through a network and have your information sold all over the place, right? You should be able to share that small set of information directly with that organization, and that's it. And so that was that. And of course, we want to implement it so that when eventually the offices get opened up again, right, you can just check in with your My Colorado app and let us know, instead of signing a book that says you're there, and then you can send it back to it, and then you can tell them that you've left. So a really simple functionality to enable us to sort of prove that you were present. There's a hint there as to where you might, some bounty stacking that you might be able to do. There's also one that is on petition signing, so marking your intent to sign a petition. With that, you can imagine how much effort goes into the petition process, and how COVID exposed its naked underbelly of how difficult it is to sign something if you can't actually safely talk to people because everyone's afraid to be outside because of COVID. And petition signing, My Colorado knows what county you're registered in, knows your address, can confirm you are who you say you are. those are all the biggest labor, the largest labor components of signing petitions. We also have an integrations award. So I think we're awarding up to 35 folks who integrate with an established service. That could be something like a Discord or something to prove you are who you say you are, right? So it's an on-ramp or an integration that works with that. And we think that's a big one because as a few people have already asked in questions, where we really think something like this paying off is in the know your customer space and the confirmation of identity. Right now, most banks spend between $45 and $85 per person to validate that you are who you say you are and comply with know your customer and anti-money laundering requirements. Crypto exchanges and things like that have the same problem, but even worse. I think it's pretty lame for you to have to hold up a picture of your driver's license and then hold up a picture of your face. I remember when I went to try and get the digital citizenship for Estonia, and then they sent me an email and said, can you email us a copy of your passport? To which I said, I guess I don't need to do this. But we don't want to be there. There's the CDA Fund Finder, which helps you find liquor establishments, and that's pretty cool. The 5-star enforcement helper, which is a great one. And then the ones that are less MyColorado, they're more the driver's vision test. Can we make a functioning vision test online? Continuing driver education. It could be gamification, could be just learning how to do it. And then the last one is I call it the RR&R. It's the railroad crossing recreation stuff. So making that happen in a real simple way. I've already used up a bunch of my time, so I will go through these relatively quickly, these use cases that we have coming. One, of course, is to allow cannabis dispensaries, liquor delivery businesses, any place that has to actually prove that they checked your ID. Instead of having them depend on taking a picture of your ID and storing it, we can do that with them with MyColorado and get the fact that they're over the right age on and stored without having to hold the whole ID. Another one is pre-filled forms. So you can go to a website, scan a QR code, come back to it, and suddenly your form is already filled out with all your information from your digital ID. Then, of course, we have the merchant agency check-in, which is the same one we talked about for the bounty. Petition signing, another great one, and even a legislature. The idea that we could let the legislature vote with this is, I think, pretty an amazing concept. And then the last one that I think is really interesting to everyone is for TSA. So the gold standard is, it's the second thing everybody asks, can I board a plane with MyColorado? And so we're working with them. There's a few differences in that. The TSA doesn't allow internet connections for their agents. So it has to be done through a wireless, they use basically a Bluetooth beacon to enable the shares. And so we have to work with them, but that's coming down the road as well. So thanks a lot. I hope that you're as excited about digital identity in Colorado as we are. And I guess we'll be talking to you in the next sesh.
Stay. Look forward to solving the challenge with you.
Sounds good.
Hey, thanks everybody. This is awesome. What amazing technology, Russell. You guys should be really proud of all the work you're doing in the Office of Information Technology.
Thanks. We are extremely proud. Hopefully they're all watching us now.
Well, we got a couple questions real quick.
Let's do it.
Do we have time just for like one or two?
Sure.
So are there plans to allow the consent workflow with KYC AML for banks, crypto exchanges, etc.?
Absolutely. We definitely see that as being a big
KYC for the win.
KYC for the win. Totally. We want to make sure that that we streamline that. And you can imagine how much money that's going to save, how much time it's going to save, how much fraud it's going to avoid to allow people to do that and prove it on the blockchain, saying, oh yeah, we got the KYC AML compliance and here it is up on Ethernet. On Ethereum, you can see where it is in the blockchain. So I think it's amazing stuff.
So there are no officers accepting Ethereum in real time for payment for traffic tickets?
There are none.
I mean, that's a pretty cool use case, though. Think about that. If you got a ticket, you could choose to just pay it on the spot, scanning your MyColorado ID wallet where you have your Colorado coins, and you can just pay for it, right?
Well, we're working on the Treasury to enable us to let them take cryptocurrency payments.
We were just talking about that. Literally, like just 10 seconds ago, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, that once the Treasury is ready for us to accept crypto, we'll open the floodgates there, for sure.
I mean, that would be an insane collaboration. Think about that. Infractions, like traffic infractions, you could literally pay them on the spot through your ID. That would be really cool. Or we just don't have traffic infractions, I guess. And then let's see. Will digital identity systems be compatible with other systems in states, countries?
Oh, that's a great question. So, we are implementing to the standard, which is called the MDL, Mobile Driver's License Standard. There are a number of other standards as well that we're trying to adhere to, but the idea is that all of these different providers of identity, all these trust anchors from the states and from different countries, will have a compatible system, and so we're part of that group that's working to make those systems compatible, so that you can, get on a plane, board it with your MyColorado ID, and then when you turn around to come back from Germany, you can use the same thing to get back, right? So you're going to be able to leverage it everywhere. These kinds of technological changes are not easy to implement in one state, much less all countries. But there's a pretty big effort to get this going, and we're basically blazing the trail on this as well. So we're the first state to really have a digital driver's license that's an MDL compliant solution.
It's great work. So thanks, guys. We really appreciate the contribution and wonderful, wonderful demonstration. We really appreciate it.